What's up, Rasmanites? It's now time to finally get to the review that I've been wanting to do ever since I first saw this film. It's time to review one of the best films I've seen in years, The Hunger Games. Today, on the Razman's Reality. Now, since this is a Blu-ray review, be forewarned that it will be spoiler laden, so watch at your own risk. You can go about maybe 2 or 3 minutes into this, depending on how long it takes before you have to turn away, because I'm going to do a quick look at the packaging, because I don't really do unboxings anymore. Or my versions of unboxing, I just do like package videos, or I do updates, but mostly because I only get one or two things at a time, I just go straight into reviews. So, yeah, here's the front with the slipcase. Here's the back with the slipcase. I guess this one wants to come out from the top. Hold on. You never know with these, do you? If they want to come out from the top or the bottom. There we go. Yeah, I love that feature about this new camera, and I'm sure you all love it too. It's much less work for me now that I'm back in 30 frames per second. I can actually move the camera around without capture glitches. So, front mounted slipcase. Move the objects on camera around, I'm of course meant to say. Back mounted slipcase. Exact same artwork, not much here. You have disc 2, the special features disc with PETA, Josh Hutcherson on the left, and then of course the main disc, the film disc with Katniss, Jennifer Lawrence on the right. I never really understood that about Blu-ray, why it's the main disc on the right and the special features disc on the left, because you're going to see the special features disc first. But I leave it the way it is because a lot of times they do have inserts in front of the special features disc, and there was one here, but since it contains a digital copy that's actually worth something for once, because it's the game that comes with the Blu-ray, which is actually a pretty fun game that I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that code wasn't seen this time because I wanted to activate it myself, and plus they just always fall out. So when I got this back on release date, I just took it out and I have it on my shelf separate. So yeah, I'm not one of those people that insist on a set being together all the time, because there's just certain things that you know you're never going to look at again. If it's nothing but ads and stuff that's in a Blu-ray, I'll just throw it away because I'm never going to use it. And most of the time I never use digital copies, so I show them, I let someone else get the code, and then I throw them away. I just don't see a point in them. But yeah, that's me. Oh, I did want to mention real quick before I put it back away, that there is a Target exclusive edition of this, which I wish that I would have known about before I picked this one up. Because while it's beautiful, it has a beautifully raised embossed slipcover with a Mockingjay pin on the front. That's not the only reason to have it. The main reason is it actually includes more bonus features. There is a third special features disc, and while I don't usually fuss over having every edition of the movie, granted some look better than others, there's also a Future Shop exclusive steelbook here in Region 1, which is beautiful. But if I have the film, I'm not usually fussed over what edition it is, other than when it comes to its special features. And a perfect example of that is one I showed a couple of videos ago in a video response to Show Program 1138 when I talked about Pirates 4 on Stranger Tides. I'm all about special features, so yeah, I wish I would have known about that one because that drives me crazy now. But that being said, this one is loaded and we'll get into it right now. So this is going to be the full film and Blu-ray review. So if you've watched up to this point in safety and have not seen the film, please come back now at a future date once you've seen the film. Alright, so this film spoke to me in a way that a film hasn't done to me in a long time. I mean, I'm talking about something that's not the Avengers or the Dark Knight Rises that you know is going to be amazing when you go into it. This was a film that was so gut-bustingly surprising. And I don't mean gut-bustingly like, haha, never die laughing like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. No, this is gut-busting in the sense of, oh my god, I can't breathe. And my screen just went black. I'm going to try to keep going because I've figured out that you can keep going with a black screen with this camera and you should be fine. So I'm going to continue on with this review and hopefully everything is okay and I don't have to reshoot. Obviously I didn't if you just heard me say all that. But anyway, this was gut-bustingly in the sense that it just hits you so hard in the gut that you can't breathe. It is so beautifully shot and so beautifully told and so beautifully acted, and by the end of it you're like, I can't believe that they got away with creating a story like this, and I can't believe that the world may be close to being to that point. It's a sad commentary to think about, but the world might actually be really, really close to the point of where we are in this film. So, what is the film? Well, The Hunger Games is set in an unspecified time in the future where there was a major war that caused a lot of devastation and heartache, and a bunch of people were wiped out. So in order to prevent that from happening again, the world has created a council. Literally, that's just what they're called, council, that is sort of like a dictatorship or monarchy type of feel. More like a dictatorship, but kind of set up like a British monarchy or a foreign monarchy would be. And they have split the world into different districts. And each district is represented in these barbaric games, known of course as the Hunger Games. And the objective of the Hunger Games is to be the last one surviving. And it's literally a game of survival. And the last one surviving supposedly is set for life and has untold riches for that person and their family, and they no longer have to struggle to get by and hunt food and barely survive in the world that they exist today. The catch, of course, is just the fact that there is no age limit in these games, and that it is barbaric and brutal, and there's just no two ways about it. You either survive the Hunger Games or you die, or you don't even get picked for the Hunger Games and you continue to live in this desolate, far gone world. And the way you get chosen for the Hunger Games is that this woman from the capital comes, and I forget her character name, I'll put it in overlay. But she comes and basically picks two representatives from every district, a male and a female, to compete in the Hunger Games. And the district that we get exposed to in this film is District 12, the home of Peeta and Katniss Everdeen. Katniss Everdeen being the main character played by Jennifer Lawrence. Katniss's story is that she is all about being the tough, hard-nosed individual in this world. She's learned major hunting skills, and she knows how to survive and knows how to fend for her family, and actually takes care of her mother and sister more than her mother ever could. So, naturally, as you would expect when you get that much history with the character, this is one of the people chosen to compete in the Hunger Games, known as tributes. So, Candace becomes the female tribute for District 12, and the male tribute becomes Peeta. And how Candace was chosen is that her little sister, Rimrose Everdeen, who can't be more than 8 or 9 from the looks of it in the film, haven't read the books yet, something obviously I want to do, and I'll get more into that in a minute when I'm done with the film review. But her little sister is chosen, and she sacrifices her little sister's time in the Hunger Games by volunteering herself as tribute. So, I said this would be spoiler laden, but at the same time it's one of those plots that I could talk about in depth and tell you what happens, but there's really no way to explain it. It's one of those things where you have to see it in order to have the emotional impact. But basically, Katniss goes off, and her and Peeta end up falling in love, much to the chagrin of a character that is actually played by the brother of the guy who plays Thor, who, again, I'm terrible with actor names. Now I think about it, I'm not going to put actor or character names in overlay, so if you're wondering where the overlay went a minute ago, I'm just not into that. I like to do stuff off the cuff. Even though I've seen this film 100 times, I like to just do it as it comes in my brain, and if stuff doesn't come in my brain, it doesn't feel very natural to me or very important to me. So if you want to know all that stuff, I'll just put it in the description. Sorry, got all tongue-tied there. Put it in the description box via the IMDb link. There we go. So you can learn all the information about all of the characters and actresses that I don't mention here if you want. But Katniss and Peeta develop a relationship, much to the chagrin of a friend of hers that she has in the beginning of the film. And they develop a relationship because the rules of the Hunger Games are changed throughout the course of Katniss's run. And basically, it is a well-known fact that there can only be one tribute winning the Hunger Games. And they create a moment of sympathy for people by changing that rule up and making it so that Katniss and Peeta, because they're from the same district, can win. The reason they amend that rule is because Peeta, in order to make himself a sympathetic character, because what you basically have to do when you're chosen for the Hunger Games is you go after these things called sponsors. And if you have, or people, sorry, not things, that makes no sense. But if you have the people that are sponsors, you basically have a better chance at surviving because you have more people from the capital behind you and have more of access to weapons, things of that nature. So when Pete is trying to gain sponsorship for himself, he tells the world that he's actually in love with Katniss, which we think in the beginning of the film is just a ploy for sponsorship. We later find out that he is actually truly in love with her. So it's a wonderful love story sprouted throughout this terrible film. And so it's about their love story, but it's mostly about the growth of Katniss as a character. And that is the part of this film that just was so gut busting for me. I mean, here is a girl at the beginning of the film that is all about herself and her family and doesn't really care about anyone else or anything, and knows that the Hunger Games are barbaric and knows that the world should not be the way that it is, but yet she grows into loving Peeta, and she also continues to manage to succeed in her ultimate goal of bucking the system and making people realize that the Hunger Games doesn't happen, because one of the things that happens while she's on her journey before she finds Peeta again is she develops a relationship with this tribute from District 11 named Rue, who's a young black girl and really feisty, and obviously reminded her a lot of her own sister Grimrose. So they develop this relationship, and I paused there because I was debating should I tell you, but I did say it would be spoiler laden, and it turns out there is more to talk about with this film, even trying to allow you to experience emotional impact than I thought. So yeah, this is a major spoiler here. But Rue dies. The little girl dies, and it's the film's way of showing you that, yeah, the world is desolate, these Hunger Games are serious, and they're for real. And so she dies, and that's what causes her to really want to go after Peeta when she learns this rule change, and then she ends up loving him. And then by the end of the film, she succeeds in her goal of bucking this entire system when she is told over the loudspeaker, her and Peeta are, that the rule has been changed back and there can only be one of the tributes that can win the competition, and she's ready to kill herself with these berries that are poison, that if you eat them, I think they're berries, they're some kind of poison food, something. Even though you watch a film over and over again, there's still little details in an epic fantasy like this that you miss. So I've watched the film 6 times, and clearly I'm not remembering everything. So yeah. Anyway, she convinces Peeta that they need to eat these berries in order to kill themselves, so to prove that the capital doesn't have to win. Hang on one second. You guys can probably tell my hand is shaking, so I'm just going to reposition how I'm holding the Blu-ray up here. Sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, she convinces him that they need to eat these poison berries in order to survive, and so, not in order to survive, in order to kill themselves to show that the Hunger Games does not need to happen and the Capitol does not need to rule the world and there can be change happen and they stop themselves from dying because the Capitol stops them because they don't like being shown up. So there's clearly more to this story. You get that from the film. Of course, there are 2 more books, and both books are going to be made into films. So that's the film as a whole. The reason it stuck with me is because, one, it's just so beautifully shot. And the way they did this, they didn't make it seem like a film at all. The camera work and the action, you really feel like you're there with these characters in the Hunger Games yourself. Not once at any point do you feel as though you're watching a film. And so you have that emotional depth there as well. And then on top of that, Candace has such growth and she's such a relatable character as a human being, as is Peeta, that by the time of it's done, you're like, oh my god, not only are these wonderful people that survived out of this horrible situation, but the world could actually get to this point again itself if we're not really careful about what it is we're doing. So it's just an unbelievably powerful story. I didn't describe it nearly as well as just watching the film will do for you. So if you haven't seen this film and you want a film that's going to make you think and leave an emotional impact and make you realize that you're a better person for having seen it, then you definitely need to check out The Hunger Games. And I definitely want to read the books now. This was the one epic fantasy franchise which you guys know is one of my favorite genres of all time. This was the one that I went into blind, didn't know anything about it, which is why I missed out on that Target edition, because I didn't know anything about separate editions of the film because I wasn't a hardcore fan of the franchise enough to look ahead. This was one of the things where the trailer didn't grab me, and I thought the trailer would give away the only shocking moment of the film, and boy, was I wrong about that. Whew, was I wrong about that. But I thought the trailer was going to give away the only shocking moment of the film, and it just didn't interest me any. So I thought, well, it's an epic fantasy, and I want to see it, so I'll get it on Blu-ray, and if I like it, I will definitely go and see the rest and read the books. And that's exactly what happened. And for any of you that are like me and are fans now because of this film and want to get into the books and want to know what happens next, Amazon.com has a hardback version that has all 3 parts of the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins for only $30 US right now. So that is something I'm very much hoping to get for Christmas or my birthday, which is November 13th, because I definitely want to read the books. Very, very much so. I can't wait to get more into this world. So, on to the Blu-ray itself. Picture quality, as you would expect, is immaculate with this film. Looks and sounds fantastic. The special features are tremendous, even with just this 2-disc edition and not the 3-disc edition that you can get from Target. You have 2 main featurettes in here. One is called... Actually, let me just look at the back of the case instead of trying to remember, since I can move things around again. You have Game Maker, Suzanne Collins and the Hunger Games phenomenon. So that one's all about Suzanne Collins and the books and how the books became such a worldwide phenomenon. It was really fun for me to watch because I haven't read the books yet, so I learned a lot more about them than I didn't know already. And then the rest of Disc 2 is this massive documentary called The World is Watching the Making of the Hunger Games, and it's split off into 5 or 6 different featurettes. And I said it was the rest, but I forgot about one more. The last one is a letter from actually, I was right. Now that I look at the back again, they're all a part of The World is Watching the Making of the Hunger Games. So it's just an amazing amount of featurettes that will tell you everything that you'd ever want to know about the film. So, not really going to review them because I do think that special features are something you can't really review, you just have to see. But they are tremendous and definitely add to the film. So, bottom line is, Hunger Games, my new favorite fantasy franchise. Well, not my new favorite, because nothing will ever replace Harry Potter. But definitely right up there. I'm so excited to see the next parts of the story. And if you haven't experienced the Hunger Games, either by page or by film, you need to do so. Your life will be forever changed in a good way from the power of this story. I hope you all enjoyed this review. Not sure what Thursday and or Friday, depending on what happens with work and Handi Enterprises' video will be. But you can either expect a review of Madden NFL 13 or a package opening, because I asked my friend on here for his help with something and he said he would try. So if he succeeded in helping me out, then I should get that package within the next couple of days, because today that this video goes up, September 24th, is actually September 25th, is actually the release date for the item in question. So, with that, I'm out. Since I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video, don't forget that the program, or beginning of the episode, I keep saying videos because I've been doing so many sports videos and direct to YouTube uploads. But, since I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the episode, don't forget that this channel and program are sponsored by Handi Enterprises Inc., your productivity and communication specialist. Be sure you check out all the YouTube videos I do for the company and contact them for any of their services. All information down below in the description box. This is reality according to the Razman. And Razman style, it's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life. And remember, the world is watching. So may the odds be ever in your favor.